fun, and I'm not judging anyone, okay, so before anyone gets cross. But I was thinking the other day that it's a legal requirement if you own a car that you have to have an MOT every year to make sure that your car is safe on the road and is not going to be a danger to yourself and others, right? What if people needed an MOT? Would you pass an MOT? What if you you had to undergo certain tests in order to be allowed out? Well, it's easy to get political about that at the moment, to be honest. But let's COVID aside. Yeah, so you don't know if your car's going to pass the MOT when you take it in, for example, and that's completely different from how most people approach healthcare. Most people that come to see us because the car has broken down already. They're on the motorway in the rain with the kids in the car, and they're saying, "No, I think it's about time. I should probably do something about this. I've been putting it off long enough." Whereas when you're MOT, imagine if you drove into your MOT garage and the mechanic said, "Well, do you think your car's okay?" And you went, "Yeah, I think so. I mean, it seemed to start, and they drove here, and seems okay." And he just went, "Oh, okay then. There's your certificate. Off you go. You pass." But we kind of take all this for granted with your health. People think, well, I got up in this morning and I seem to be still alive, and I can kind of go to work, and that means that I'm okay. But obviously, when you go in, they test your brakes, and they test your lights, and they make sure that look at your exhaust emissions. Thankfully, we don't test people's exhaust emissions because that would be disgusting. But imagine if you needed an MOT to go out. Now, different people will have different approaches to this. People who are really into fitness might say, and a lot of people do say this, that there's a standard requirement that all people should be able to do. You should be able to run 5 miles. You should be able to bench press your body weight. You should be able to do 10 pull-ups. I'm going to say that's a great idea, but most people can't do that. But I think, even if we bring it down to really basic stuff, a lot of people probably would fail a day-to-day MOT. What could we have? What could we test? How about mobility, strength, and energy? Right, so mobility, let's keep it basic and down to earth. Right, so can you get around? Can you get in and out of a car? Can you bend up and pick up your kids? Can you put your socks on, without pain or without restriction, without stiffness and that kind of thing? Strength, can you open jars? Can you carry the shopping home? Can you're able to lift something heavy if you need to? This is basic stuff, and unfortunately a lot of people can't do it. Energy. Is your energy at let's say 7 or 8 out of 10 most of the day? No one feels 10 out of 10 all day, unless you're drinking too many espressos. But 7 or 8 out of 10, pretty good most of the day. I'd say even at these modest requirements, a lot of people would fail this. And I want to put a caveat in here and say, I understand that a lot of people are dealing with, chronic illnesses and things like that. So you've got severe hip arthritis or diabetes or MS or something that's going to completely change the parameters for you. I accept that. But for most people, I'd say, there are simple kind of guidelines that I think a lot of people wouldn't hit. What do you think about that? Do you think, would you pass an MOT if you had to go in every year and get tested, otherwise you weren't allowed out? And what would that be? What's important to you? And I think that's what it comes down to. What's important to you? What do you need to be able to do day in, day out? What would you like to be able to do better? Maybe not that something that's actually physically stopping you, but is just putting a cloud over your day. There's just making life not as good, not as enjoyable, not as easy as it could and should be. What things should we be measuring? How do you measure yourself by? And is there anything else anything that you'd like to improve? Love to know what you think. And if you've got any questions or comments, stick them down there. I'll see you soon. Take care.